New insight into the costs of the Obama administration's latest regulatory agenda. The report comes out twice a year. It's jam-packed with new rules for federal agencies to follow. Our own Shannon Bream is live for us in Washington. So, Shannon, how much is this going to cost? Who's actually footing this bill?
Well, Gretchen, let's start by looking at some of the top federal agencies contributing to that $1.8 trillion price tag. And environmental regulations come at the top, tagged at a cost of $379 billion. After that, the Department of Health and Human Services, that makes sense, of course, because they're implementing most of the Obamacare regulations, nearly $188 billion in regulatory costs. And the Department of Labor comes in at nearly $125 billion. Most of that cost is going to be borne by private industry. Those are not costs for the government. So, of course, that trickles down to you and me, the consumers. The author of this new report that puts that price tag at $1.8 trillion points out, hey, just a few years ago in the 1990s, that was actually the number for the entire federal budget, Gretchen.
So what's the accountability for the agencies creating all of these regulations, Shannon?
Well, this is something that's really upsetting folks when they look at just how far they reach. Congress last year passed, and the president signed about 127 laws, but there were more than 3,700 regulations that went out. And so the fact is this, essentially it's lawmaking by a non-elected body. Here's what happens. Those agencies issue the rules, and there's no check on it. Here's Wayne Cruz, Competitive Enterprise Institute.
The agencies are issuing rules, but they're not accountable to voters the way legislators are. You have the unelected making law, and I think there's a great argument this nation needs to have about the unconstitutionality of much of the lawmaking that takes place in the country.
Of course, if you're a regular citizen and you can show you've been harmed by one of these regulations, you can go to court. And by the way, the EPA is facing several lawsuits all across the country. At least a couple of them will be argued this term at the Supreme Court. Gretchen?
Yep, covered a lot of those as well. Thanks so much, Shannon.
You got it.
New developments.